How do? Oh, well, hello. How are you doing? I'm Chris. Welcome to King Bespoke Creations. Now then, I'm in a bit of a quandary today. I'm building a desk currently for somebody, which has slightly strange dimensions and little shelving sections, which means I can't use the normal joinery things that I would normally do to put it all together. So first of all, it's going to be 8 foot long. So it's going to be the full width of the room that it's going in, which means I can't assemble it in here because then I can't transport it everywhere. I won't be able to get it through their building as well to get it into the room and get it fitted. So it's got to be assembled on site. Well, that shouldn't be too much of a problem normally. However, the design looks a bit like this. Now you can see here, we've got the desk top and the legs. It's also going to have some shelves underneath, which then create a little bit of a problem for attaching the desk to the legs in the first place. We also then need to think about how those shelves are going to attach to the sides, because I won't be able to get in from the sides of the desk because the walls are in the way, and it's all creating a little bit of a headache. Well, this is what bespoke stuff is all about, isn't it? Creating something that's purpose made to fit. Right, well, let's grab some pieces of wood and see if we can figure some stuff out. Right then, so here are 4 legs ready for the desk, and then I've made up the boards that I need. There's some that were still clamped in the glue thing, so just using these pretty much 4-inch stock, glue them together to create big panels. Very simple stuff really. So now I need to join it all together, and this is the tricky bit. So for the very ends, I think I can go pretty simple mortise and tenons in between the two. So this panel will fit in between those 2 legs with mortise and tenons. Okay, that's simple, we can crack on with that. The rest of it is then joining the table together, the legs together sideways. Now that's going to be a lot trickier because of where it's been positioned. So, well, let's do the mortise and tenon and keep thinking in the process. Got a wide board like this, you could just do that one long tenon to go into one long mortise in your leg. The trouble is that isn't going to be the strongest way to do it. You're actually better off having 2 or maybe even 3 smaller tenons butting in, which would create more of a finger type joint. It gives more surface area, more glue area to do as well, and just more structural strength going through than just one big slab of a joint. Okay, so there's all the standard mortise and tenons to join the legs together. We've got one end over here and one end here. Right then, so the shelving units that are going to go underneath need to attach on there somehow. Now, I suppose the easiest method would just be to cut out the corners for the legs and then stick it in there and put some screws in from the back and hold that in there. We're not using screws. So then how am I going to hold that in place? I could put a dado across that has that to slip in, but that's not going to be attached very well, and again I can't get in from the opposite side because there's going to be a wall in the way while I'm making it all up. So I think what I'm going to do is a slightly extended dado by cutting out little turrets in here, almost like a through mortise and tenon, and then that way we should be able to knock that in, and it should have quite a lot of strength holding it up and down, and even a little bit of anti-twist strength in there as well. Yeah, that sounds like a plan. Right, let's do that bit then. Get this lined up, the little chamfers. Should be right there. Yeah, feels good. Right. So sliding that up to there, I can come in with my sharp pencil. Well, this is awkward. Where's my hand gone? I'm not even put my hand in the right place. Do you know? Holding it with your chin while you mark off. Okay, so before I move anything, that look good? No, it doesn't. It's rubbish. Okay. So trying to hold things up and use this to mark off just wasn't working. I wasn't happy with that. Too much play in a pencil, there was too much gap everywhere. Let's just get rid of those lines because I don't believe they're accurate at all. Right, so instead we'll have to do measuring. I generally prefer to line things up physically because I don't trust myself with a tape measure, but sometimes you just have to, and I don't like tape measures either. That's there. Let's use one of these instead. Right, now this is a nice flexible one. This is good, so it means I can get in there and I can measure things off quite accurately. So if I go from there to there, we have, is that a nicer measurement on metric? Yes it is, it's exactly 29 centimetres. Ooh, well that's good, isn't it? So that is then 14.5 centimetres, which means I can put a little halfway mark on there very accurately. This is generally how I decide whether I'm working in inches or in centimetres, by the way, which one lines up with a nicer number. So that's a centre point I've got from here, which is good. Right, so now I need a centre point on this board, which that's exactly 42 centimetres, so I know I've got 21 to be playing with there. Could do with a new pencil, this one's getting a bit short, isn't it? Right, so now we've got centre marks that line up perfectly. So I said on there, didn't I? That's 14.5. So I'm going to go 14.5 from that centre point to get that marking there. So I know that's where the edge of that is. And I can do the same on this side. So again, from that edge point, 14.5 gives us there, that's that point. Right, well that's a start. Right, so then, I need to put a hole through these and I need to have enough wood here to go right the way through and overband onto this as well. So, how thick is this stuff? Well, this is why we love these things, because I can do that. So I can hold that flush on the bottom, tighten that up, and that's the exact depth that I want. And then I can just transfer that all the way across. Okay, so this area here is where I'm going to have my prongs for going through these points. Probably 4, which seem to look quite nice, fit really well. So we'll have those going through there. Then we want from this line, this depth. Okay, so we need to measure how high this is, because that's how far in That's going to need to go. So again, we can do that, measure that on there, put that there, that's that depth. So I can put that onto there and do that. There we go, so that's this end all marked off. I've got my 4 even spaces that are going to go all the way through the side wall. So now I'm going to just work on going through all my cuts that are going down. So I've got these longer ones for the legs and then these shorter ones working all the way through. Notice I've scribbled off all the bits I don't want along the tops and along the sides, so there's no possible way I can cut on the wrong side. Always cut on the waist side of your pencil lines, okay? So then you know that each section's going to be the right width when you're done. So then we've got to cut the holes in this point to get these turret things through. Okay, now I want an 8-inch deep gap for my shelf. So I'm going to stick that in there, run that flush at that end and mark off 8-inch there. There. Will this fine thing work better if you whistle? Well, maybe. Lining those up like that. Excellent. Right, so that gets them lined up. I'm not going to use the pencil to do that section. That pencil line was purely there so I can hold this in the right place. I'm going to use the marking knife to mark exactly where those pieces are going to go on both sides and all the edges all the way around. Be able to see them a little bit better. We move in like that. There we go. So there's the sections I need to cut out to allow those little fingers to poke through. Wait a second, I can hear you all shouting. I've jumped the gun, haven't I? I didn't mark the back. Yeah, I need to stop and do thinky. So very simple, easy thing to do. Again, just get your knife mark where that is. A tiny nick on that corner that you can then transfer over to the next corner that you can then score your line down the other side. I see you. Et voila, there we go. So that's the shelf now attached. You can see it from the side where they just ever so slightly poke through. Of course, as much as that's quite pretty, it will never be seen because it's going to be up against the wall. So now there's going to need to be, that's good English, isn't it? Needs to have a piece going up there. So this big live oak slab, link in below under the end cards to know how to make this, by the way, is going to sit on the top of there going all the way across. So we have this shelf which needs access all the way through because there's going to be some sockets on the wall at the back, so this is why we can't have a back plate. So this piece needs to go up to attach to give this something to hang off, basically. So we need to know how to do this joint along here. Now again, we could just do that and screw through the bottom of there, but we're not going to do that. We could put it on the side and screw through the side, but we're not going to do that either because that's quite ugly. I did think for a while about maybe doing a 45-degree chamfer, doing a mitre to go all the way through, which would look very attractive. You'd have one line going through the bottom corner, but again, it's not going to be particularly strong. So what else could I do? Could possibly do dovetails, I suppose, coming through here. That would look quite nice along there. The problem with that is, notice this panel is going across. Normally when we do dovetails, you would be looking at the grains going that way on, which gives us a really, really strong joint. If the grains run along like that, if we cut triangular pieces out of here for the dovetails, it could crack off quite easily. So that wouldn't be particularly strong. Now, the reason I've put this panel long ways on is because I'm going to attach the lid with those little cam screws that you get in flat packs. I've dismantled loads of flat packs over the years and kept all the stuff because they're dead expensive to try and buy them. So I'm going to use those, and I want then long grain to be able to attach the lid, this desk unit, onto the top. Okay, so that's why I've done this panel long grain on. So anywho, back to this point. What I think I'm going to do is almost dovetails, but instead of having splayed out joints, is basically just do finger joints all the way along. Now, a lot of people will do these with a table saw, but I don't have a table saw, so I'm going to do them by hand, which means I can make them different sizes if I wanted to, but I probably won't. I'll probably keep them fairly even. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm just going to do finger joints all the way down there to connect those once, because that gives lots and lots of surface area for gluing with. It will be a very, very strong joint when that's finished at that. Right. Okay, right, let's go with that then. So again, we've got it marked off. It's just a simple case of removing those sections and then using this panel to mark off the other one to know that we've got an exact fit. So just pivoting on there. Yeah, just wants a whisper taken off that edge. start. We'll do tiny bits at a time. Better. And a tiny bit off this one, so I just pull. Finger was a fraction large. Ooh, lovely. It's going in there quite nicely. Right, I'm not going to tap that anymore because I'm going to put some glue on that first. But that fits really well. Notice any of these that needed adjusting, I was trimming along the grain with the chisel rather than down across the grains. That's just easier to pare that down in tiny little slithers. There we go. So this bottom board just had a very slight twist at the end. So we've clamped that shut. And then just for a bit of support, I've just cut a stick the same length as here just to hold that while the glue sets. Hurrah! Well, there we go. So we've managed to get through to the end point, I think. So we've got these kind of finger joints along here, almost through tenons on that side, and then your traditional mortise and tenon along the legs. Now you could say that all of these are very mortise and tenon based, but that just goes to show you need to know your general joints. Then you know which ones you can adapt and which ones you can change for whatever the task is at hand. So here we had a complicated section where I couldn't get in for normal joints that we might think of that can just be assembled and then taken away. This has to be assembled in a tight space, given its limited options. So doing things like these and those over there, and then using those little twist grips that we saw earlier on to attach the lid on top of here, because I'm not going to be able to get in with a screwdriver. Things that we need to do. Okay, so planning your next job, make sure you're thinking about which joints you might like to use and how you might have to adapt them. Now, if you'd like to know more about those basic joints, make sure you click on the playlist that's down here for all of our Technique Tuesdays and follow us every Tuesday night. If you'd like to know how to make the live edge top, well, click this video up here. It's really good. And then don't forget to click this subscribe thing over here and smash that like button for me, because I'll love you forever. Until then, sharpen your tools and I'll see you soon.